Here we
Okay,
go.
here we go. Yippee!
Wow!
Ho, hey,
Ah,
yahoo!
ah.
I
What?
do a pretty good
What?
Mario.
That's a pretty good Mario.
I'll probably leave this in.
You were
Hello and
born to jump
welcome
on it.
back to Geek and Speak, the Geek and Speak podcast. Today, we are talking about our favorite planes, our favorite worlds in the Magic the Gathering multiverse. And that can mean anything at all. It can be that we like the aesthetics, we like the lore and the story, we just like the cards that come from it. It should be a little bit all over the place, but hopefully it's a good discussion. Join with me today is Preston. How's it going, Preston?
Pretty good. Had a pretty nice couple days here, not too bad. So excited to do this episode.
Like to hear it, like to hear it. And we also have Jason. How's it going, Jason?
It's going okay. I didn't talk about this actually at all in the last episode. I realized this after we finished filming it. I didn't talk about the Lions once,
I'm
and
so
that
proud of
Oh,
you.
I feel like now I deserve to kind of talk about the Lions a little
No,
bit.
no,
come
So
champ.
you were on a one episode streak.
at the time that we're recording this, we play the Commanders tomorrow, and I just, oh God, I think we're gonna win, but I want to win so bad. I want to win so bad. I've had a real crap start to my year, and that will help me out a lot.
Okay, Jason, like right before we hit the record button, you were like, you know what? The good thing about this is that things can't get any worse. You just jinxed it. All right, they're gonna lose. But hi, I am your host, Morgan. I'm also doing pretty good. Just got to go on my first date night with my wife for the first time since we had our second kid. So it was nice to, try to do something normal, like a normal person, and leave my house. So that was nice. But I'm excited to be here to talk about Magic the Gathering with my homies. Uh, if you would like to support the show, do all the YouTube algorithmy things. That being hitting like on this video, leaving helpful comments. Let us know what some of your favorite planes and things like that are in the comments. And then hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And then before you finish this video, after you finish this video, whatever, go check out our other content. We have a lot of other podcast episodes. Most of them are evergreen. We have lots of gameplay. We have a couple essays. We have deck techs, all sorts of cool stuff. Go check it out. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can head over to patreon.com/geek and seek YouTube and financially support us there. All right. The reason we wanted to, just one quick news thing that we're not really going to delve into much is the reason we chose to do this is because this topic is because Innistrad Remastered is coming out this Friday. We didn't really have any good like Innistrad specific episode we wanted to do to tie in, just because like yeah, we're all pretty big Innistrad heads. Like, we could probably do an Innistrad episode, but we did a spooky cards episode that no one watched, and it was mostly Innistrad cards. So just go rewatch that episode if you missed it. Um, but yeah, guys, are you gonna buy any Innistrad Remastered?
Probably.
Oh, really?
It's magic, isn't it? Like what?
Well,
I mean, don't we all know how this works? Like they got you. Once they got you, they got you. And you're gonna buy magic cards. They know you're gonna buy magic cards.
what
I
about
might
you,
see if
Preston?
anything cool gets reprinted down a little cheaper, more affordable. Maybe pick something up, but I probably won't pull any packs for this one.
Yeah, you will. You can
I'm not
say
as
you're
big on
not.
Innistrad as you
You
two.
can say you're
I like
not,
Innistrad.
but you will. Everyone does.
Well, I might on a is it on Arena?
No,
Oh, okay. Then no, I probably won't.
I don't believe
I think
you.
it's a huge mistake that this set's not on Arena, by the way, because if it was
Yeah,
on
Yeah, because
it
it
doesn't
Arena,
make
has.
because
sense.
so I've been doing a decent job keeping up with preview season for it, and I think it looks like a blast to draft. So if it was on Arena, I got some gold saved up. I've got some gems saved up. I jam at least one or two drafts, but it's not going to be on
Haven't they
Arena, and that's
haven't
crap.
they been doing the other remaster ones on Arena?
Yes.
Ixalan or
Well, some of them were
Amonkhet?
only on Arena. Some of them were only on Arena
Yeah.
to help get other cards onto Arena faster. But yeah, it's just a bummer. With that said, there are definitely singles I'm going to pick up from this set because I like some of the new arts or old border foils or like have you guys seen the monster poster treatments? Oh,
I have
dude, those
not.
look so sweet.
Are you talking about like the alt art, like the
Yeah.
Olivia Boldarin one,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, they're so sweet. They look like old school horror movie posters. Oh
yeah,
my
okay, I
God.
gotcha. They're
Oh,
pretty
so
sick.
cool. So I don't know. I might pick up one or two of those, like if there's one that I feel like I can't live without. But I just eh, we don't draft really in our group, which makes me sad. Like I love draft, but like we get together maybe once a week and we just want to play Commander and we don't get around to drafting. So I don't think I'm gonna buy a box, but there's
That
definitely like cool stuff going on in the set for sure. But there's some weird cards that they should reprint that they're not reprinting. Like
and
Cavern of Souls, Parallel Lives. There's definitely cards that they could put in this set and they just chose not to.
Yeah, but I mean, we are getting Cryptolith right, and we are getting a unnatural growth. Um,
But that's not an expensive card, is it? Or is it?
I think unnatural growth is,
Oh, I didn't think it was
and
expensive.
the Cryptolith right might not be. Let me look real quick.
Cut this long, awkward pause out.
No, it's staying in.
No.
They have to sit there with us.
Natural growth is like the cheapest version is just under $3,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
not
the
too bad.
original printing. Yeah.
It's not horrible.
Yeah.
Still, I'd rather it be 30 cents.
Well, sure.
And
But
the price probably could have dropped because it's getting reprinted.
hmm yeah. But overall, that's why we decided to do this today. And I'll say right now, it's not the last time we're going to talk about Innistrad today. So we each put together our top three lists, and there's I think one plane that has overlap. Otherwise, we are all talking independently about different planes. And like I said, this is anything. This is we like the plane for the lore, we like it for the aesthetics or the art direction. It could be that there's just specific cards we really like to play with that are from this world, and that's has skewed our perception of it. It can be whatever we want it to be. There's not really any right or wrong answers here. It's very subjective, but should be a good conversation. Preston, do you want to start us off with your first one?
Hey,
Yeah, so first up, oh,
real quick to tie. I just found this Cryptolith right is still like $12.
Wow. Okay. Well, good reprint then.
Sorry.
well, yeah,
Please continue, Preston.
that's good. Yeah, so to get us started, so I had a bit of a close call here. I end up giving it to Theros as my third pick. Amonkhet was also pretty close for similar reasons. I read a lot of Percy Jackson as a kid and some of those spin-offs, so I'm big on mythology, or at least I used to be. So Theros, being the Greek god said is pretty cool. Uh, let's see, there's Theros Beyond Death. I don't know if I've been playing for any other Theros sets, but I just like the God cards usually. Most of them are
Yeah.
pretty cool, fun to play
Original Theros
around.
was 2013, so it was before we were playing.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if there was anything else that had come out like Theros Beyond Death, but yeah, so that's mostly why I picked it. And Amonkhet was also close, but I don't like the gods as much as I like the Theros gods for the most part. But Theros also has like 30, so a little unfair.
Yeah, but I would say that Theros probably has the best ones. Um, I mean, I just think about like what is it, Xenagos? Uh, the Gruul one that like doubles like a creature's power or power and toughness or something like that.
Yeah, Karametra. Uh,
Karametra's a
there's the
bonkers card.
Yeah.
I love that
there's the
card.
mono blue one that bounces stuff at your end step. There's a lot.
That one, I think that one's from Theros Beyond Death, right? Right? Because
I
it's
think yeah, it's
Thassa.
definitely a new. Yeah, Thassa.
Yeah.
I
Thassa
just
Deep
can't.
Dwelling. Is that the one you're talking about?
I think so.
Yeah,
Is
that's the
that
Or
one
cost.
from that's the one from the newer one.
okay?
So
Okay.
it's kind of interesting that you had Amonkhet and Theros kind of neck and neck because they're taking like ancient mythology and putting a like magical twist on them. And so there are some similarities, but then like yeah, the differences are what toss that up. I also really liked Greek mythology as a kid. I never read the Percy Jackson books, but I just like liked real Greek mythology.
Mhm.
So I really liked the aesthetic. I really liked Theros when we went to Theros Beyond Death. Um, I did a Scryfall search for like first printing of just like original Theros. So not even just like the block. Is there a way to search blocks on Scryfall? Surely there is. Um,
I think so.
but the just like original Theros, like first set of the block, you have like Swan Song, Nykthos, Gary, Burnished Heart, the Temple of Scrylands, Read the Bones. Like they're, and then of course all the gods. Like these are just cards that are classic commander cards that we still see. Some of them not as much as we used to. But for a long time, these were classics. Curse of the Swine, Elspeth Sun's Champion, baby. Oh yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna throw one out here that is super underappreciated. Hundred-handed one.
Hundred-handed one. Which one's that, Jason?
So
It's a giant
it's
that can block 100 creatures, right?
yeah, and so you make it.
What?
It's a 3/5 with vigilance for 4 mana, and it has monstrous 3 for 3 and 3 white. And it says as long as Hunter-handed one is monstrous, it has reach and can block an additional 99 creatures each combat.
That's hilarious.
It's so much fun. It's such a meme. I love this card. It's so cool. It's ridiculous, but it's so cool.
That is so funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
Also, I
did
think.
anybody mention Heliod?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yep.
Heliod.
One of
Yep.
the original like combo guys.
Well, it's the newer one that is the combo one, right? Or are there combos with the original one that I can't remember? Because like the newer one, I believe, is the one that combos with Walking Ballista.
Oh, sorry, this first one isn't necessarily combo. That because yeah, the newer one does combo with Walking Ballista. That's what I'm thinking of. But the OG one from Theros, it's an infinite mana sink.
Mm. Mhm.
Also, I think Theros is where we got enchantment creatures for the first time.
I think
I
you're
think
right.
that was.
I could
If not, it's definitely the set that's done it the most, or the plan that's done it the most.
yeah
I wonder if there was any like enchantments that like became creatures but weren't actually creature types. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I don't know.
yeah. It's a cool set. I like the aesthetic, especially as someone who was really into the mythology as a kid. Um, and it feels really magic-y too. Like it doesn't necessarily just feels like Greek mythology fully. It still feels very magic. And there's like I don't know. I like the power level. It's not like a very strong set. Like it's not like I said, like those like top cards I listed are like cards that you would play, but they're not like, oh, that's busted, you know, like they're just like, yeah, that's a good card. Um, so yeah, and the gods are just slam dunks. Like they're just cool commanders, they're cool 99 cards, like they rule. I like them. It's a yeah, cool set.
Perforos is also a combo piece.
Perforos is awesome. Jason, what do you got first?
All right. So the first set that I have is Eldraine. Um, Eldraine, when did that come out? What it was what
I believe it
was it
was
4 years
That's
ago?
2019.
29, so 5 years ago. Okay.
6.
Uh wait. Oh
No,
yeah. God
stop.
dang.
It will
Dang.
be six. It will be 6 years later in the year. Yeah,
You're right.
because I think it came out. I think it was the fall set. I think it was the fall
God,
set of
time
2019.
flies. That just tells you how much I still want it to be 2024 because 2025 sucks for me so far.
Well,
Anyways, um, I Eldraine was cool because we got a lot of really fun cards from it, and we got some good commander decks. Uh, it's I also am a big fan of mythology, so don't let that be lost to this conversation. So I like Theros is a cool set. I also like the like this type of fantasy type stuff where it's you've like the Middle Ages type fantasy, you know, because
King Arthur and all that.
yeah,
yeah,
it's
that
it's
type
like
of stuff.
classic high fantasy. Yeah, like Arthur's a good example.
Um, and also I used to have an Ayara First of Lochthwain deck that was like it was the deck that I built when I wanted to build a mono black deck, and I just God, I love that deck so much. That deck was so much fun because it's kind of like a two card combo with Plague of Vermin, as long as you have more life than your opponents. So it's pretty good. If you're doing that combo, it's a little bit expensive, I think. I think you need 7 mana to do it. The earliest I ever won with that deck was turn 4, and that happened one time, and it was crazy. Never expected it. But I mean, we also just got a lot of really good commander cards from it. I mean, probably the best one from it that makes its way into a lot of decks is the Great Henge. Great Henge is a commander staple at this point for green. Then you get some other cards like I don't know, maybe Corvold.
What?
One of the
Kenrith.
best commanders that was printed that entire like in the past maybe 5-6 years, I would say. I think that that's fair for Corvold. Um oh gosh, Questing Beast. Questing Beast is another really, really cool card. Um
It's
Chulane.
also, yeah, it's worth noting since you mentioned Tulane and Corvold that um, this was the one set that they did Brawl precons for, and that's where we got Arcane Signet, which now is like in almost every commander deck is Arcane Signet. It originally came from the Brawl precons from original Eldraine.
Forgot about
So
that. Jeez.
yeah. So do you guys prefer original Eldraine or the Wilds of Eldraine that we just got like 2 years ago?
Probably original. I'd have to think on it, but
So I would say that Wilds of Eldraine was a better set. Um, just as far as like the power level of the cards and everything. But I just think that the first Eldraine set was just so unique and so great in its own ways. Um, that for me, I would say that the first Eldraine set is what I would prefer. But I think objectively, probably Wilds of Eldraine is better.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at the top played cards from those sets, and from Wilds of Eldraine, I agree that like I liked the power level better from New Eldraine. It fits into standard better. I'm a big standard player, but even then, like there are cool commander cards, like and like adventures. I'm always happy to get more adventures. I just think they're fun play patterns, so I was happy to get more of them.
Any card that has like unique versatility, they're always so cool.
Yeah. Um, but also from original Eldraine, just has like genuine like multiple staple cards. Like I already talked about Arcane Signet, but Return of the Wild Speaker, which is one of the best green
Yes,
card draw
yes.
spells. That's originally from original Eldraine. Mystic Sanctuary, busted land that was banned in modern.
Oh,
Uh,
Fabled Passage, since we're talking about lands.
yeah. The Castle Cycle, Midnight Clock, which is one of my favorite mana rocks.
Ooh, yeah,
Uh,
Midnight Clock.
Sir Conrad, which is a combo piece.
Ooh, Sir Conrad. I forgot about Sir Conrad. Maybe because I tried to get him out of my brain.
Oko, everybody's favorite little
Well, we don't need to talk about Oko. Oko's
yeah.
banned.
Okay, I might be choosing Wilds now. You talked me into it.
Yeah, so like there's just a lot of cards from original Eldraine. Like at the time, like original Eldraine kind of ruined standard, and that was like the big like one of two things that really drove people away from standard for a long time. But in hindsight, as commander players, we're like, yo, there's a lot of cards from this set that we play. And I agree with Jason. I also just like the aesthetic. I like the high fantasy, but it's playful. It's a little playful.
Yeah.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
It does the same thing with Theros, where it's definitely playing on some real type of like mythology or fantasy, but it's putting a magic spin on it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. My first one that I wanted to talk about is Zendikar. Uh, for me, Zendikar is not as much about playability. It's almost entirely aesthetics. For me, I think that visually, Zendikar is just one of the best. I have they have these books. They have these art books that were like in the around the time that we started playing Magic, so like 2016 to like 2018 in that era. And most of the main sets had these. And these books rule. So they are full, if I can, full of art, full of lore, and they're hefty and they freaking rule. And I have the Zendikar one. I'd like to get a couple of the other ones. And I really enjoy it. I like the idea of in this world the land is alive and breathing and you can feel the mana surging through the plains. And I like the sense of adventure that comes with the plane as well. I know a lot of people have built like D&D campaigns around Zendikar because of the sense of adventure that is here. It also has tribal support, and people really like their tribal decks. It has a ton of land synergies, obviously, and people love their land decks. We got I think they're called the check lands, like Prairie Stream, Smoldering Marsh, like that is originally from Zendikar. I think some of the fetches are originally from Zendikar, Evolving Wilds, Bajuka Bog. So a lot of like actual land cards are originally from Zendikar. But then Explore, Avenger of Zendikar,
All the
Rampaging
Omnaths.
Baloths, Omnats, like all of these I'm pretty sure Oracle of Moldiah, I'm pretty sure that's originally from Zendikar.
I think so.
These are all like if you like land decks, oh man, let me tell you about Zendikar. And then I know that people have mixed feelings about the Eldrazi. I personally really like the Eldrazi. I like the cosmic threat that they unleash upon the multiverse. I think it's actually like a worthwhile opponent. Is the Eldrazi. So I actually really like the Eldrazi stuff as well. The Titans I think are all like super sweet cards. Some of the other smaller ones I think are also really cool. So like Artisan of Kozilek or It That Betrayed, Void Winnower. They're just
Breaker of Armies.
No,
they're
not Void
just
Winnower.
yes, Void Winnower.
Void
Yeah,
Winnower
you.
sucks.
Oh, Jason, you just can't even, okay? Just get over it.
Exactly.
Like, but
Desolation Twin.
yeah, I just think they're cool big threats. Um, I could go on. It's mostly an aesthetics thing for me. But there are like a ton of cards from Zendikar that we play.
Yeah, one of my first commander decks was actually allies, 5 color allies. So I'm always gonna
Yeah,
appreciate Zendikar for that. Uh, I really loved that deck when I first built it. So I'm glad Eldrazi invaded because that made the allies happen. So
yeah, had to band together.
I'm double checking something. I think the Eldrazi are sweet. I don't know a ton about the lore, but from what little I do know about the Eldrazi, I mean, it's just cool having beings like that exist in the Magic universe. I don't know. I think that they're awesome.
Yeah. All right. What do we got? What do we got next, Preston?
all right. So next up, I did Lorwyn / Shadowmoor. Do you guys know that set at all, really? Like the lore behind it?
I I know that they're the same world, but something happened and it like made everything dark and evil or something. I don't really know.
So the lore is for like a span of 500 years, it'll basically always be day, and then every 500 years, it'll basically always be night. And when it's always day, most of the plane is pretty happy-go-lucky. The elves suck, but everyone else is pretty chill, and the fairies are kind of gross. But after that, besides that, it's cool. But then it goes to Shadowmoor for 500 years. I think that's the span, and it's awful. Everyone becomes terrible. They're always killing each other. It's bad time, but uh that wasn't how it was supposed to be. So the like the characters of the plane fixed it, so now it's more regular day and night cycle. So now it's just Lorwyn, but like watching old lore videos on that, like when I was first getting into Magic, I really just liked that world. I thought it was cool. Never got to play it, but there's a few cards from it I've done, like Una, Queen of the Fae is from that. So,
Okay, cool.
and there's a few others, but
I
I just really
was
like the lore.
That was like one of the first mill decks.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is another set that it's from before our time as Magic players. This is from 2002. Is that right? Do you know?
something like I know it was old. I didn't realize it was that old.
Actually, hang on, I can squint. 2008. Okay, it's not as old as I thought.
Okay.
2008. But it still it was before we were playing. But there are cool cards from the set. There's Party Jace, the that's this is where we originally got Planeswalkers, isn't it? This is like the original five Planeswalkers are from Lorwyn.
I I thought it was like one of the M blank sets that did the first Planeswalkers.
I'm pretty sure the first Planeswalkers are the Lorwyn Planeswalkers. I
Huh.
would be very surprised if Jace Beleren is not the first Jace.
No.
Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
There, yeah, like these are that like that card I still really like. I still have jammed that in blue decks occasionally. Thoughtseize is like obviously like an all-star if you play 60 card. Um Mutavault, kind of the same thing off and on. Bitter Blossom's a cool card.
Oh,
Um
Vigor.
if you just even look at the top few cards, these are all cards that like, oh yeah, you know these cards, you play these cards in Commander. Negate, one of the best counter spells. Ponder, one of the best cantrips. Austere Command, I would argue is still one of the best board wipes. I didn't realize that was originally from Lorwyn. I don't know where I thought it was from, but it's originally from Lorwyn.
I did
Muldrifter, my guy.
I did
Like,
not realize that this card was originally from Lorwyn, but Dolmen Gate, that card
yeah,
slaps, dude. That card goes so hard.
I I think it's expensive, isn't it? Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
19 bucks.
it's like
I
20
wish it
bucks.
wasn't because I kind of want one in one of the new aggro deck I just built. I kind of want one, but I also don't want to spend 20 bucks on it.
I also
Um,
really like Liliana Vess. I think Liliana Vess is a really good budget like tutor option for black if you don't want to spend, you know,
it's not
20,
that
30.
budget though. It's
I
like
mean,
I mean
it,
it's cheaper
it,
it's cheaper than Demonic Tutor, that's for sure.
yeah,
But
that's kind of what I mean, but like you also get more options out of that than just the tutor.
mhm.
This is where the hideaway lands come from,
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I
right.
did not realize that.
I think.
Do you know if this is the first set that had commands like the modal the big modal spells? Like do you know if this is the first set that had them? Because austere command's here, and then
Cryptic
I
Command?
assume we also had cryptic command in this set. Yeah, we did. And then there's profane command.
What?
Do you know if this is the first set that had commands, or
It
if
might have been. Because I feel like that's like Cryptic Command was like one of the first ones, I think.
yeah.
I kind of have to check something out because
It's cool that there are all these cards that were like, oh yeah, we play those sometimes because I think of Lorwyn as like a typal set, and it is. But like I think about like the fairies and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see. Like I'm pretty sure there were like merfolk or elves or something like.
Sig. Sig
Oh,
River Guide
Sig's
is
from
from
here.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of didn't realize this card existed. Have you guys heard of the card Forced Fruition?
Yes, it's Steven's WinCon and his group hug deck.
Preston, do you know what this does?
Uh, and pull it
It's
up.
it's a
I
six
I
mana
Oh yeah.
enchantment
I
that
never seen this card before.
whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws seven. So what actually ends up happening is you let them you your opponents cast a couple things. They sculpt the perfect hand and then they destroy the force fruition. That's actually what happens in practice. Um, but it is Steven's WinCon and his group hug deck. He's like, "Oh, I'm drawing you cards." You mill out 2 turns later. But I
That's
don't know if he's
crazy.
yeah, I don't know if he's got to pull that off. But it's
This would be
it's
really
a
good in
sweet
like a
card.
Nekusar deck or
Yep,
Xyrus, the
yep,
Writhing Storm.
yeah, yeah. Super cool. All right, Jason, why don't you lead us through your number two?
So my number two set is gonna be Innistrad. And no, it's not just because that we talked about Innistrad Remastered coming out. Innistrad is where I first started playing Magic. Eldritch Moon was the first Magic set I ever purchased and the first set that I pulled cards from. Uh, and I just thought that the set was like really interesting. Liliana was a card that really spoke to me first. Like that was the first planeswalker in Magic that I was like, oh snap, she's got a crazy low backstory. How like she gets like she wants to save her brother's life, and so she gets this. Is it like a potion or something? I can't remember exactly, but she gives it to him, and it like he's alive, but he turns into a zombie, and it's just nuts. And uh like there's some stuff with like the Eldrazi. It's specifically Emrakul where Nahiri like brings Emrakul to Innistrad so that she can like get revenge on Sorin for betraying her and not being there when she needed him. Uh but then like Emrakul takes control of Tamio's mind and has Tamio imprison Emrakul in the moon. And just the whole thing is crazy, and I think it's so sweet. Innistrad's just I love it, and it's also where werewolves come from, kind of I think, and at least like the transforming werewolves. Uh, and I had a Tovolar deck for a while, and just werewolves are sweet. So it's another one of those sets that like it has like some horror elements from like kind of like classic horror villains, I guess. But puts a magic twist on them, like vampires, werewolves, that type of stuff, zombies especially.
Yeah, I'm also high on Innistrad. Mostly because it's horror. I like it kind of it has like a Grimm's fairy tale kind of vibe, or like like Little Red Riding Hood, because we also have like the werewolves and stuff, but it's very dark and moody, and there's this constant feeling of dread. And it gives you something to fight for. So it's very, very cool. And we also just get cool cards. Like I like Blasphemous Act, hello, Faithless Looting, uh, tons
Avison.
of great lands. Avison, like you said. We talked a little bit about Innistrad already at the beginning of the video. But I also started playing Magic around when you did, Jason, when Shadows over Innistrad was technically still the newest set. The first pre-release I ever went to was Eldritch Moon. There definitely is like nostalgia as a factor. But I still actually really like these cards. Like Tireless Tracker was one of my favorite cards when I started playing Magic,
Great
and I
card.
still play it sometimes. It's still actually just kind of good. It's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, I'm also I'm pretty high on Innistrad. I I realize that there's definitely some uh nostalgia here, but um there's a lot of cards here that we still play.
Yeah, I mean
And
this is
especially if you like the spooky tribes, the
this
vampires, the
episode
zombies, the werewolves.
this episode is our favorite sets. So like this is just
Yeah,
right,
it's okay. It's
it's
okay if
favorite
it's
set.
it's okay if it's a little
I did
rose
not
colored
start
glasses.
playing with this set, but either Innistrad or what's the second one?
Eldritch Moon.
Eldritch Moon. One of those sets is how I got introduced to Magic because I had a friend who was like a little older and he was opening up some packs of one of them and he just gave me the cards he didn't want, like the bulk or whatever. So my first Magic cards are from one of those two sets. I don't remember
Nice.
which one, but yeah. So I also appreciate the set because it did initially start me looking at Magic as a thing that exists.
Dude, and I'll
So
never forget that feeling. The first feeling of chasing a card, like just opening packs hoping to pull Emrakul. Just every single pack, it's like, all right, this one's gonna be Emrakul the Promised End. I know it. I know it is. And then it wasn't. And then you're disappointed.
Man, that card rules so hard.
So hard.
Uh
Still don't have one,
oh really?
actually. Still don't have one.
That was one of the card. I don't even know how he ended up with it, but Steven ended up with one. Maybe he did open it in a pack because we went to the pre-release. It's possible he got it from a pack, but that was like one of his game enders in his like original Joda deck. That was like one of the boogeymans in our format when we
Yeah,
first
no,
started playing.
I got Emrakuled by Steven when he played Joda. That's happened to me before.
Actually, it's happened to you on the channel in our gameplay series now that I think about it. So, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I love this set quite a bit. Next up, we have Kaladesh, also known as Avishkar now. I'm not 100% filled in on the lore and all that, but I know that there's like there's a real world reason that they changed the name. And then there's also to help smooth that over, there's some in-universe reason that they changed the name. I'm not completely caught up. It has something to do with like after the Ether Revolt, they like restructured their government system or something and renamed the plane.
Yeah, after overthrowing the consulate.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm not super caught up in like all the specifics, but I really like this lore. So I think part of it is that it was like a nice way to introduce me to the dynamics of the game. Because like I said, when we started playing, it was Shadows over Innistrad into Eldritch Moon, and I love that stuff. I love the spooky horror stuff, old school horror. But right after that was Kaladesh and the Ether Revolt. And I feel like those are much more lighthearted. It's like we are tinkerers and inventors, and it looked pretty. It was much more lighthearted. It was a little tongue in cheek. It was a little goofy, but it didn't feel like out of the box or anything. So it
I
was
feel
just
like
nice having that dynamic back to back in sets. And there was just a lot of cool stuff that happened. I've become quite a lover of artifact decks. So a lot of the artifact creatures that we get from and artifact payoffs we get from Kaladesh, I still play. Especially like oh, what's the red one called? Combustible Gearhulk and the black one, Noxious Gearhulk. Oh man, I love those cards. And then I also controversial take. Really like energy. I like having the outside game resource, an extra thing to keep track of. I just think that's kind of neat. It's kind of novel. It's not something I would always want to do. Like I was kind of happy when it rotated out of standard. And I kind of hate that energy's ruined modern. But I have an energy deck and I made it 5 color specifically so I could play with more of the Kaladesh cards because like the 2 energy precons we got last year or whatever were Jeskai. And I was like, but I want to play like my Rogue Refiner or the Bristling Hydra, these cards from Kaladesh. So yeah, it's cool. I like the aesthetic. It's fun, it's lighthearted, it's artifacts. Yeah, I like it.
it gave us Ether Flux Reservoir.
Yeah.
Panharmonicon is from this, one of the
Oh my
two.
God, yes.
Dude, it's such a good set. It's such a good plane. I mean,
It's I'm excited too because it's one of the worlds that's involved in Ether Drift, which is the
oh
next standard
wait,
set we're getting. So
it also did anybody say this? It also gave us the oh, what are they called?
vehicles, they give us vehicles.
No, well, yes, but are they masterpieces? Is that what they are? The art,
Yeah. There
Oh,
was the masterpiece invocations, which
dude,
were
those are
super rare.
sick.
Have you seen them in
So
real life? Have you seen them in real life?
The only one I've ever seen is a Soul Ring, and I saw it at a store.
I guess that's probably true. I probably
It's
have
the only
seen
one I've
some of
ever
them
seen is
in
a Soul Ring.
I probably have seen them in stores, but I was trying to think of like if I've ever seen them. I know I don't have any of them.
I've
I feel
seen
like
proxies as them.
yeah. But those don't curl the same way that the real ones do. I've heard that the real ones curl real bad. So,
Oof, gross.
yeah. But that was also back when foils were more rare and they felt more special. So especially these that were like super rare and like highlights of like
Yeah,
some of the
I
more
think these
popular
ones are
artifacts.
still like really expensive.
They're stupid expensive. But I actually liked that showcase style. And when they went back and did like they've brought back that frame a couple times. Like remember when they did the um March of the Machine legendaries, and then they would give them frames that were representative of the world that they were from. So, like the Ragavan that I have is a frame that is reminiscent of that masterpiece as a callback to the Kaladesh invocations, which I think is a cool touch. I like that, and yeah, I'm excited to see if we get more of that stuff in Ether Drift, just because it's one of the worlds that's involved in the race. So
I have to
Yeah.
share this with you. I have to. All right. Guess how much a damaged foil Masterpiece Soul Ring sells for? A damaged foil.
$300.
You're too low.
Oh,
400?
You're too low.
yeah, but that's Soul Ring. Okay, that's Soul Ring though. Like that's got to be
Dude.
one of the most sought after ones, right?
All right, I'll go ahead and tell you. It's $600.
Oh, that's
Gross.
crazy. To be fair though,
Oh
like Soul
yeah.
Ring has to be one of the more sought after ones, right?
I
Like
mean, I
there
would
surely
think
there are
so.
ones that like there are some that I could see maybe are more valuable than the Soul Ring, but surely there are some that are not that high. I don't know. I'm sure they're all expensive, but
I'm looking at
yeah.
near mint foils between 750 and $900.
Oh my God, that's
It's
crazy.
Oh.
insane. It taps for 2 colorless mana.
I actually kind of remember someone who we went to high school with bought like 3 boxes of Kaladesh because he was looking for those. And I don't know if he ever found any,
There's
but
no way
he
he
was on a
did.
hunt. Well, yeah, because I think the math was that like there was like on average one per case, and I don't remember how many boxes are in a case, like six. So if that math adds up, you have to open like 6 boxes for a chance to maybe find one.
To hopefully get one.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I will say that one probably pays those 6 boxes, depending on which one it is.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
but
actually, I need to look this up now. I have to see. Sword of Feast and Famine.
oh yeah, because I was one of them.
That one's probably nuts. It's probably so crazy. If it's less expensive than the Soul Ring, I'll be shocked. Oh my God, it's less expensive than the Soul Ring.
Oh, how much is it?
I'm seeing lightly played foil, $215.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
pretty reasonable.
I mean, no, it's not, but a near mint, $218. Huh? Well, shoot, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. That's crazy.
Well, anyways, Preston, why don't you lead us through your last one?
All right, finally, I had to do it. I picked Ixalan. I just love dinosaurs. While Aether was technically the first set I started playing, Ixalan was the full first block I had a chance to play, really, because like I kind of touched the Amonkhet block a little bit when it first came out, and I did a little bit of Aether Revolt, but as soon as Ixalan came out, that's when my Magic obsession really started. All the different legendary dinosaurs, Gashoth and Zakama, everyone's favorites. I just love dinosaurs.
I
Loving
mean,
dinosaurs is
dinosaurs are cool.
single-handedly the best reason to love Ixalan. Because I actually remember like when Ixalan was the newest set, we did pre-release and then Steven and I think Sean went in on a box together and we like drafted it and we were like trying to get all the like cool cards and there just wasn't much. Like it was for the most part you either were really into the dinosaurs or you weren't. Like I know it was like a typal set, so there were the merfolk, the dinosaurs, the vampires, and
Pirates.
pirates. Um, and none of them were as interesting as the dinosaurs. So if you really liked the dinosaurs, cool. But if you didn't like the dinosaurs, it just was a super weak set. With that said, there were still like some cool cards. Like I still think like Atali is one of the coolest cards I never play. Vanquishers, Banners, Pitiless Plunderer, Growing Rights of Itlamok. Like there are cards from the original block that
The
occasionally
Immortal
sneak their
Sun.
way. Yeah, like there's cards that still occasionally sneak their way into decks. I think there's a few dinosaurs specifically that I'm like, oh yeah, I actually play that sometimes. But
The Merfolk are
specifically,
strong,
yeah,
but
but mostly within the confines of actual Merfolk. Like if you play a Merfolk deck, then yes, your
Yeah,
Merfolk deck
yeah.
runs these. But if you don't play a Merfolk deck, are you going to play these? I was a lot happier with our Lost Caverns of Ixalan, our Return to Ixalan, mostly because it was a neat way to delve deeper into that world. I just thought that was an interesting way to do that. But also, it just gave us more cards that might be able to fit into decks outside of the Typal decks. Because Typal decks are cool, but like if you don't want a Typal deck of that tribe, it's not really for you, and that just kind of feels sad. So I was happy with a lot happier with Lost Caverns of Ixalan because there were more cards that I'm like, yeah, I'm sometimes gonna play that, even if I
It
don't
gave us
have
the
a.
dragon dinosaur.
That's true, and that card is actually really sick. That was in my Prosper deck for the last little bit that I had that deck together. What do you think about Ixalan, Jason?
I think that it's probably good. It's probably fair to say that for the average little boy out there, dinosaurs are really freaking cool. When I was a kid, I had a dinosaur book. It was just I mean it had information about them in there, but it was just a lot of big pictures of an artwork about dinosaurs, and I remember being a kid and loving that book so much. Um, I think probably my favorite card from Ixalan might be um oh gosh, I think one of you said it already. Immortal Sun, that's what it's called.
I think my
Uh,
favorite one might be from Lost Caverns, which is Brass's Tunnel Grinder, which is the 3 mana artifact that you can discard any number of cards to draw that many. And then if you descend that turn, you put a counter on it, and then eventually it flips into a land after it has X number of counters on it. And then the land on the back taps for red, but if you cast a permanent with it, then it discovers. Like it's kind of cracked, and it's only like $1. So I actually really like that. I think it's in two or three of my decks. It's really sweet. Otherwise, uh, there's just a couple of the big dinos. Like I already mentioned, Atali, Nezahal, I think is the other one that I play in a couple of my decks. A couple of the like,
Galta.
yeah,
Zakama.
well, yeah, those are cool. I just don't know if I played them. Spelunking's bonkers. Spelunking's also from Lost Caverns. That card's really sweet. Yeah,
Wizard's favorite card ever, Zatalpa.
yeah,
Been
Oh,
printed
they
dude,
40
like to reprint
times.
that guy a lot, don't they?
dude, I'm like, I might do this, I might not. I might have the image of Zatalpa that I think I've sent it in the group chat. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. The one he's unflappable.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Zatalpa's so much fun, dude. It's so crazy. Even if like you're not gonna win if you play Zatalpa, you're just like, big dinosaur, do bad things.
Yeah, if you love dinosaurs, Ixalan's the stuff right there. Jason, why don't you lead us through your number one?
So my number one plane is gonna be Dominaria. I'll tell you why. First, the Elder Dragons come from Dominaria. I mean, it's where the Elder Dragons come from. It's where
It's a
the Ur
pivotal part
Dragon
of Commander,
It's
yes.
where Ur Dragon comes from. You guys know I love me my Ur Dragon. He's just the best. He's the bestest boy. But then you also have the best Simic commander, the best Simic lands commander of all time, Tatiova
Yep.
comes from that plane. Just just such a heavy hitting place. There's so many good cards from it. Not even just like cards like that, but even you get stuff like Unwind. Like that's a really good counter spell. It's only a non-creature, but you untap your lands, so
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing, you might be able to pull off some trickery with that, add some extra mana to your mana pool while you're countering something that somebody's doing. Um, I think isn't this where the legendary spells come from, like the legendary sorceries?
Yep. First time, I believe. I believe first time was in the 2018 Dominaria set.
So you get cards like Urza's Ruinous Blast, Karn's Temporal Sundering, um, and is this where Sagas started too?
Yes,
Yep.
2018
Hist
Dominaria.
Historic is where they first coined get in that Dominaria set.
Yeah, so for Joyra, hey.
Do love me my Joyra. Um,
It is also the most important Magic plane just by default.
It is.
yeah, and I think that that's why it gets a lot of love. But I think the lore is cool. I think the cards in it are really powerful and really fun to play. Um, yeah, I just, Dominaria is so cool, man. It's where Ur-Dragon comes from. How can it not be my favorite?
It is really funny how you're like, oh man, all the 10-year-olds really love Ixalan with the dinosaurs. And the moment you start with Dominaria, it's about the dragons. I
Dude,
see what you
I did I say it was a bad thing to be a kid and love
No,
dinosaurs? I literally painted a whole picture of how I had a dinosaur book. Dude, I love dinosaurs. They're so cool. But I just think dragons are cooler. And you know what? That's subjective.
you
So,
are wrong, but yes.
so I will say, Jason, that 2018 Dominaria is still one of my favorite sets of all time, period. It's this perfect balance of power, as far as like yes, there are strong cards in it, but it didn't feel like an overpowered set per se. And there were just like a lot of cards that I was excited to play. It's where we got sagas for the first time. We got a lot of cool new commanders. Um, it, the archetypes were really fun. I drafted this set more than any other set. Whenever they put it, like whenever they relaunch draft events on Arena, I do it. Like I love this set so much, but Preston's right in the fact that Dominaria is also just kind of the most important planes in Magic, period. But because before we were doing this, where we were visiting new worlds every set, we just spent like the first like 10 years of Magic or whatever the hell it was, almost entirely on Dominaria. That's where we get a lot of these old classic characters. We have like these giant through lines. A lot of the old novels and stuff are based on Dominaria. That's where we get Urza. That's where we get Mishra. That's where we had the Brothers War. That's where we got Yawgmoth. Like it's all this stuff. It's where we got like a lot of the I guess Phyrexia is its own plane, but like a lot of that storyline is based on Dominaria. So it just story, if you care about story in Magic, it's hard to argue that there's something more important than Dominaria, even if put the fun of the cards aside for a second. Like it's just cool. And it really sets the tone. It sets the tone of like this is high fantasy, this is the Magic flavor high fantasy in it, and I think it's purest, most unadulterated form. Um, so yeah, it's cool.
Ravnica is the set that's made Magic relevant recently, but Dominaria is definitely the grandfather of all Magic planes.
Yep. All right. And then for my number one, I warned you guys that we were going to have one overlap planes, and this is it. My number one is Innistrad. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we already have talked about Innistrad a lot. The only other thing I wanted to add is I think because of the horror thing, I think is a big part of why it has the staying power it does. And why I think we'll probably end up going to Innistrad a couple more times over the course of the next few years. It's just because people dig it. It's a cool world and people like these tribes. My first like real commander deck was a zombie deck. And I had the joy over the last couple of weeks of building a new zombie deck and kind of going through a lot of my old Innistrad cards and being like, oh yeah, I remember this one. This one's sweet. This is definitely going in there. Um, and yeah, there's definitely the nostalgia of I started with Shadows over Innistrad and Eldritch Moon. I have a lot of great memories of starting Magic, getting into Magic, buying my first deck builder toolkit for Shadows, and then my first pre-release was Eldritch Moon, and I still play a lot of those cards today. I do think it has like the one downside of Shadow or of Innistrad in general is that it is another one of those sets, kind of like Ixalan, where it's like if you aren't really into one of the tribes, like the vampires, the werewolves, the zombies, if you're not really into one of the humans, there's a ton of good humans from the set. If you're not really into the tribes, it's a much worse set. But like Ixalan, there are still cards that you can find that you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play that, like Faithless Looting or Cavern of Souls or Blasphemous Act was one we talked about, Tireless Tracker. Like there are just cards that you would just Craterhoof Behemoth. So
Oh my
Imprison in the
gosh,
Moon.
Crater
yeah,
Hoof.
yeah,
I kind of said Imprisoned in the Moon, but I
a
said it
lot
in
of
a
them
story fashion, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
the we had Emrakul, we had a lot of great lands. I think I said Czech lands earlier in the video, and I meant a
Mhm.
different name. The Czech lands are originally from Innistrad. Yeah, there's just a ton of great great stuff. Even if you're
Oh,
not super into those tribes.
wait. The check lands, are you talking about the ones where like they enter untapped if you have two or more other lands?
So that's what I was talking about earlier. Those are I think are more commonly known as the battle lands. Those are from battle. Those are originally from Battle for Zendikar. The Czech lands,
Are they?
I think is what they're called. Yeah. Uh, the ones that are I think are more commonly known as Czech lands are the ones that are like Sulphur Falls. I think is it one. It's like enters untapped if you control a mountain or an island. Those are originally from Innistrad. That's about it. That's those are our top planes. I think the big one that we didn't talk about is Ravnica. Do we have any just like honorable mention things that we wanted to say for Ravnica real quick? I guess just we like the two color pairs. Like there's a reason we still call it Is It
Yeah.
and Rakdos, and there's a reason we do that.
Well, I'm
Um,
trying to find this because I'm pretty sure the battle bond lands, the ones that like if you have two or more opponents, those are definitely from battle bond. But I'm pretty sure the ones that check if you have two or more other lands came from Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow.
oh yeah. Those came from the slow lands. Those are called slow lands. The slow lands came from Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow.
Okay, I did not realize that's what they were called. They don't seem
Yes.
slow to me.
Well,
I mean, I
because they
guess
entered tapped on turn one, turn two, and in competitive Magic, that really matters.
that's fair. That's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair. But I like those. I like those
yeah,
cards.
I like them too. They go in basically all two color decks. Most of my three color decks. Yeah, I really
Also,
like
I
them.
just feel like Innistrad speaks to that young goth person in each of us.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
to get
The,
like half philosophical, there is like a reason that horror in general resonates with people is because it's a safe place for us to ponder the darker sides of humanity. And I think that's the appealing thing about horror in general, and that definitely translates over into to the card game space. Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, as for Ravnica, that is the plane that brought life back into Magic. So it is important to shout it out a little bit.
And I did enjoy Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, War of the Spark, like that block. I really liked. That was a fun time. We were talking about that a little bit beforehand. Like War of the Spark has this weird reputation now, but at the time, man, I liked it. I liked a lot of those planeswalkers. I had so much fun at that pre-release. So I have a fond memory of it. And I still play a decent amount of those cards from that set. So, and yeah, there's a reason we still refer to the two color pairs as those guilds, is because they do a great job at symbolizing what those colors do together, or against each other. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for our favorite planes in Magic the Gathering. Let us know in the comments what some of your favorite planes are. If there's one that you agree with, if there's one that you think we should have talked about and didn't. I think Kamigawa is probably the other big one that we didn't really talk about today. But let us know, and it can be for any reason. If it's you got some of your favorite cards, he's got some of your favorite art, doesn't really matter. It's very, very subjective. But hope you enjoyed today's episode. We will be back next week for another topic. See you then.